Good morning, caregivers. It's Tuesday morning. It's time to get your rear out of the bed and get going. Yep, it's cold outside, but it's not as cold as it has been, and we're glad about that. I got to tell you a crazy statistic. We have a home in Southwest Florida, and we spend our time between South Carolina and Southwest Florida, and we talk about how much we love being there because the weather is so warm. Well, guess what? It is 5 degrees warmer in South Carolina today than it is in Southwest Florida. Well, it was at 7 o'clock this morning. Now, that's just crazy right there. Hi, Elizabeth. Hi, Michael. Glad you are joining me. So, I'm not excited about the fact that it's colder there. I tell you, when I move there, they better not have cold days there. That's just not going to work. Our daughter made fun of us because we took our little space heater with us when we moved stuff into our house there. I said, girl, I am not going to be cold on those cold days. But anyway, I have had an interesting experience lately, and I'm going to talk to you about it today. It has something to do with spiders in my throat. What? Spiders in my throat? Well, you're going to hear about it. Well, today's sponsor is Life in the Carolinas, the television show, Emmy-nominated, Telly Award-winning. Oh my gosh, I would tell you all the awards this show has won, but I don't have but 15 minutes, and it would use up all my time. Produced by Carl White. What a great guy he is. Check out Life in the Carolinas. I don't care where you are in our world. You can find them on the internet, Life in the Carolinas, and you just might see an episode called Remembering No More. That particular episode is about dementia, Alzheimer's, and it might show my mug and my beautiful mama as he interviews her, and she introduces the host as her husband. It is such a good show, but thank you, Life in the Carolinas, for sponsoring What's Going On with Mama. Well, today is Tips on Tuesday. Yes, it is, and I want to tell you about what's been going on in my world that might relate to your caregiving journey. Now, I mentioned to you guys, I think it was last week, that I had this tickle in my throat and I was all the time. And that's not a good thing to do, especially if you're sitting in close company. You don't want me, making that noise. But it was constant discomfort in my throat, and I felt like there was something there. Hi, Gina and Martha. Glad you're here. Martha, you were not the first one to sign on today. You always are, but Michael beat you to the punch. So anyway, just the discomfort in the mornings, my throat was awful. In the evening, my throat was awful, and it just wasn't fun. And when you speak for a living and you sing for a living, you sort of kind of need your throat to work. So I went to the doctor yesterday, and I have a great eye, ear, nose, and throat doctor here. Special shout out to Dr. Kessler at Charlotte Eye, Ear, Nose, and Throat. He is just a good guy. He really is. He's kind of fun to be around considering he's sticking things up your nose. And so they sprayed my nose with this, I think it was, what'd she say? Like a decongestant. It did make my nose run, let me tell you. And then they spray it with deadener. Oh my word, it hits down up in your nose and it runs down your throat. It just deadens everything. Because, as she says, we're going to do endoscopy this morning. Shut the truck up. You're going to do what? Endoscopy. I didn't come here for no endoscopy. I thought I was going to be put to sleep for endoscopy. But what they do is, they do endoscopy, but it only goes down so far, not all the way down into your belly like you think about. So he runs this, doctor comes in, I tell him what's going on, and he says, well, Miss Howell, I think probably you have some reflux issues. Well, duh, I've been knowing that for a long time. And he wants to put me on medication for that. He said, let's go in there and take a look. So he puts this thing up my nose, and it runs down my throat. And, you got to, you have to make this special kind of breathing to get past it, and it's okay. It's nothing horrible. But I was like, this is not the most fun I've ever had. He said, would you like to see what's going on? And I went, well, sure, I'd love to see it because I'm into that. I like watching those doctor shows. I'd love to watch a real surgery. I think that would be fun. But he said, hold on. And he pulls it out. He sticks his head out the door and he goes, is that room down there open? And they said, yes. He goes, come on with me. And I'm like, oh, good. It's recorded. I'll get to go down here and see what he saw in my nose. So I sit down in the chair. He has to put it back in my nose again. Let me tell you, girlfriend, if I'd have known he's going to put it back in my nose again, I'd have been like, no, thank you. I don't need to see it that badly. But it was just all happening so quick. I didn't know what was going on. Hi, Tamara. But what I learned is my interarytenoid, I had to write it down because who uses those words every day? Interarytenoids are inflamed and very red. Don't that sound like a spider to you? I said, are you telling me I got spiders in my throat? He said, Miss Howell, that's arachnid. Is that right? He said, no, you don't have spiders, which I knew I didn't. But the arachnoid is that area that makes the near your vocal cords that makes them move. Well, he could show me. Mine are really red. My daughter says because I talk too much. I told her I didn't ask her opinion. No, I did not. But it is caused by reflux. So I am on medication for that. But I did not let him leave that room until I got all the information I wanted. And I had questions like, I know that some of the medications for reflux have been shown to have an increased chance of dementia. Let's talk about that. And he was very happy to talk me through that. And we made some adjustments. Actually, just so you'll know, the medications that have been shown to have a connection with dementia that are used for reflux were studied in a test that wasn't all that thorough. Let's just say it like that. It was just a little bitty test rather than a double-blind test with placebos and all this good stuff. That didn't happen. So the information there, while it is interesting, may not be as factual as we need it to be. But he said, I tell you what I can do. I can put you on a different medication that is not that same class, and you don't have to worry about it. So last night I started that medication. So anyway, it was a good experience. But I did make sure that I had all the information I needed before I left. Just on Saturday or Sunday of this week, I had a text from a friend of mine, Phil, who was taking his mama to the doctor today, and he had questions, and he was questioning me about medications that are good to help folks with dementia. Sleep, and you have to be careful about that. But first of all, my first recommendation, and you remember I'm not a doctor, although I've been to medical school twice. I had lunch there both times. Yep, that's true. But I can tell you that what I use with Mama are natural things. I do use melatonin, 10 milligrams at night, and we use a product called L-tryptophan. That's what's in turkeys that make you sleepy when you eat Thanksgiving dinner. L-tryptophan, she uses that. I use that too. But he was wondering about medications, and he said, we're going to see the doctor tomorrow, which would have been yesterday morning. And he said, I just hope I'm going to get the answers that I need. And I wrote back, Phil, you don't leave till you get the answers you need. Because, see, you have hired the doctor. He is your employee for that small amount of time, and you're going to make sure that that employee knows everything you need to know before that employee walks out the door, right? You've got to get that information. I refused to leave till I know. One time I took my mama to the doctor. Our family doctor couldn't see her, and she had an appointment for something. I forget what the appointment was scheduled for, but the day of the appointment, she wound up also with a migraine. And I said, well, you're going to see the doctor anyway. Excuse me, that's that noise. But anyway, so got in there to see the doctor. And I said, Mama has a migraine and she's very sick right now. Could she please get a shot for her migraines? Because when Mama had them, that's what it took to knock them out. And he said, I will never forget this, I don't have time for your mama to have a migraine, so I can't treat her. Excuse me? My mama don't have time to have a dang migraine, but she's got one. And he walked out the door and did not treat her. I followed him out the door. I'm like, you cannot leave this woman here in this kind of pain and not give her the shot that she needs for her migraine. She is miserable. He was so not happy with me. Please ask me, did I care if he liked me at that point? No. He came back, he arranged for her to get the shot, and Mama proceeded to get over a migraine, which would take 2 days. I'm so thankful Mama does not have migraines anymore. Hallelujah. I could not believe this doctor. You can bet one thing. I have not laid eyes on that turkey again. He will not be my doctor. There's been a couple of times if my doctor's not been available that I could have seen him, and I'm like, honey, I'd rather die. Just no, I'm not going to see him. So you got to make sure you get what you need. So this morning I get a message from my friend Terry, and she's concerned that her mom is not getting the help that she needs from the doctor. Elizabeth says, I tell him I don't have time to pay you. Oh, that's funny, Elizabeth. Gonna skip that part, aren't we? I like that idea. Hi, Janice. Anyway, She's concerned about getting the doctor to understand what her mama needs. And she knows her mom's having some problems with dementia. And she stated that her mom was an excellent bookkeeper, could always keep up with balancing the checkbook, keeping everything listed in the register, paying bills, and that started to become a problem. That is one of the first symptoms we see with folks' dementia. The first symptom, of course, being memory loss. They can't remember squat diddly, but then we start having problems with numbers. Hi, Janice and Debbie. Thanks for joining me. But she said Mom was just having all kinds of problems balancing the checkbook. She mentioned it to the doctor. I love the advice the doctor gave her, that she should not use her brain for things that were so difficult. Really? What? Well, maybe Mom should not be balancing the checkbook now because it is something that she physically cannot do anymore because the brain is diseased. So we're not going to try to get the brain to do what the brain can't do. But not using the brain for things that might be a little difficult, no, that's not the direction we want to go. Mom's in the early stages of her dementia, for my friend I'm talking about. She does need to be using her brain, and she needs to be using it for those things that she's capable of doing, and maybe even stretching herself just a little more to see what else she can do that will help her, help the brain. Janice says that she's having a lot of problems with numbers, and it's common, Janice. It is part of the process. So I was a little surprised at what the doctor told her. And she said, how do I get the doctor to understand these are the problems Mom is having? I feel like from what she wrote that this doctor is just like, oh, don't worry about it. So you're having a problem with numbers. It's okay. Just let your daughter do it. No, this is very symptomatic of a problem. You need to talk to me. We need to get help. So Terry says, what do I do? So Terry, this is my advice. Hi, Michelle. My advice is you write a letter to the doctor. You take it the day, maybe 2 days before the appointment, and you make sure that the doctor reads that letter. And Janice says you get a new doctor. That might happen too. You make sure the doctor reads that letter, and you put on it, please read before you see Mrs. So-and-so at whatever time on Tuesday or whatever the appointment is. That way they have the information. When you get there, you say to the receptionist, I delivered a letter for Dr. whomever, and I asked him please to read it before he sees my mom today. Before we go back, will you please make sure that happened? It is imperative. Hi, Susie. And if they say, they'll say yes, sure. Who knows if they're going to do it or not. When you get back there, you say to the doctor, did you get some information that I sent you? You don't have to say it's a letter because Mom's going to say, why did you write a letter? I sent you some information. Did you get it? If you realize he didn't read it, then you need to take Janice's advice and get a new doctor. Because I'm going to tell you, the doctors will read it. They will take the time to do that. I've done it with Mama. I don't have to do that anymore. But I am not the least bit shy about bringing information to the doctor that I think they need to know. Daggone it, this is your mama you're talking about. Don't mess with my mama. There is going to be hellfire and brimstone coming down if you do. I'm not patient about that. So I hope that answers some questions maybe for my friend Phil and for Terry. I tell people you just got to pull up your big girl panties, which Phil don't wear big girl panties, so that's a problem for him. But you got to pull up your big girl panties and stand up, get what you need. You are in charge of that slot of time with your doctor. Make sure you get what you need. Take your questions written down, because I'll guarantee you, you're going to get in there and get flustered, especially if you feel like he's trying to run out the door. He's going to leave, and you're not going to know all the answers because you forgot to ask some of the questions. Write them down. Write them down. Also, on your phone, make sure you keep a list of all the medications and all the surgeries and procedures and natural products that your loved one uses. You're not going to remember them when you get there, and he needs to know. And yes, the doctor does need to know about the natural products you use. Don't forget to list them, okay? Because you very well could have some kind of contraindication between medications and natural products. Doesn't happen a lot. I'm just going to tell you it doesn't. But you do need to be, the doctor does need to be aware of that. So let me see. What time is it here? Oh, good gracious, my 15 minutes goes fast. I'm glad you've joined me for Tips on Tuesday. I want to thank our sponsor, Life in the Carolinas, the wonderful television show. Check them out on the web, Life in the Carolinas. And there kinds of wonderful episodes. They did one about the Brown Mountain Lights, and that's something that I've seen is the Brown Mountain Lights. Nobody can explain where they came from, and he talks about those on the show. Thanks for joining me. Tomorrow is Wacky Wednesday. I'm going to show you a product I'm going to endorse tomorrow. I hope you'll join me. Blessings and smiles on your caregiving journey. Keep smiling. And Janice says, pull up your big boy underwear. I like that. Have a good day. Bye-bye.